during the Quantum Leap Advanced Toastmasters Club meeting number 22. Before we begin, there are few ground rules which we all need to follow. Rule number 1, please turn off your cell phones or put them in silent mode. Number 2, do not talk about sex, religion, and politics in a derogatory manner. Number 3, please keep your videos on all the time if possible, so that the speaker feels that he or she is speaking to a human rather than to a blank screen or an image. Number 4, please turn off your audio and unmute yourself when your turn comes to speak. Number 5, please turn off your video if you want to move away from the screen or want to have a sip of water. Let me now read out the club mission. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. Without further ado, I would like to call the person who will take this meeting forward. He is a science student, started his career as a computer programmer in 1980 with Pakistan Railways Computer Center. With a big round of applause, please welcome the club president, DTM Saif Ali Sheikh.
Let me unmute myself. Thank you very much, DTM Ajay. It's a wonderful introduction, and you miss one last liner, that the 4 wives and 1 kid, as you said previously. Okay, let's move. Fellow Toastmaster, the theme of the day is food and thought. Before I'm going to talk about the food, and then I will invite you for the thoughts, let's have a business session. Do we have a minutes of meeting ready, DTM Tala?
Yes, I can briefly recap what happened.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
What happened during the previous meeting. So our previous meeting happened on August 27th, and it featured a keynote from DTM Swarna, and it was all about her takeaways from her attendance at the convention, Toastmasters World Convention, and she beautifully linked in to the favorite subject of every person from the subcontinent, that is food. So she shared the takeaways. There were 2 speakers. One was myself, the other was Toastmaster Umar Shahid. As far as the winners are concerned, the best speaker was won by default by myself, simply because I stayed within time. So that tells you that staying within time is the most important, no matter what the quality of your speech. Secondly, Best Table Topics was won by Toastmaster Ahmed Shakur Malik. Best Big Four was won by our Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Kuram. And Best Evaluator was won by DTM Saif Ali Sheikh. And Best Round Robin Evaluator was won by our guest, Toastmaster Latif Mansoor Ali. Other than that, there has been no business that was transacted at the ExCom's end that needs to be ratified by the club. However, there's a reminder that renewals are due and all the members are urged to renew. And the renewal details will be shared in a day or 2 for the club group. We will also decide precisely the amount of club charges that will be taken from members based in Pakistan. For members abroad, the good news is that you don't need to pay the club charges. So that was a bit of business, and I hand over the charge back to our president. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Fellow Toastmaster, do you have any amendment, deletion, addition in the minutes read by DTM Talha? If none, minutes are adopted as a true record of the club. Thank you very much, DTM Talha. As said by our treasurer and VP Education, that we are planning to increase the club dues as compared to the TMI $45, and we want a fund, reserve fund, at the club level. So may I request DTM Talha could you please move a motions about increasing the fund and how much fund we are planning to have it for local chapter?
All right. For local chapter, going by the usual trends, we at Karachi Toastmasters Club, we usually charge rupees 900 for a 6-month term as club charges. So, Mr. President, if you feel that charge is appropriate, I can move the motion to add that charge to the local members.
Thank you very much. Could you please move a motion for 1,000 rupees instead of the 900? So make it the round figure.
All right. So, okay. And yes, it has been pointed out that we don't have the quorum for moving a motion, but what we'll do is we can take the consent of the members here, and then we can float a poll. We can float a poll on the club group to have a formal voting. So we currently have 5 members out of a total of 14. So
sorry to interrupt you, DTM Talha. We have 5 members now, and our active membership is 9. Not 14 are the members, but active membership is a 9. So we have the quorum to make a decision.
Okay. What we'll do is, just to keep things safe, we'll move a motion here, and then subsequently also we can float the poll. So
there is no need because since we have the quorum, if we are making a decision, that is a binding for the other members too.
Okay. So I move the motion that for Pakistan-based members, we add the club charges of rupees 1,000 to the membership subscription fee.
There is a motion on the floor raised by DTM Talha that we are increasing 1,000 Pak rupees to in account of the local chapter, local club, in addition to the $45 per 6 months to the TMI. Someone seconded?
DTM Saif Sheikh, I have a question here. Is it, you are saying local chapter, is it not applicable for the international members like me?
Yes, it is not applicable to the international member. This is only applicable to the member in Pakistan.
Okay. So can a member from other country can move the support or can support the motion?
Definitely, yes, because you are a member, you have every right.
Okay. So I propose this.
You second the motion.
Okay, I second the motion.
Motion moved by DTM Talha and second by DTM Ajay. So floor is to DTM Talha to elaborate more about the increase in the local chapter.
All right. So thank you so much, DTM Saif. It's not actually an increase. This is the first time that we are actually starting to gather club charges. It is a routine practice for community clubs to get some club charges from their members. The reason it is being done for local members only at this point is because it's easiest to collect from them. International members can only pay through credit card, and unfortunately that does not provide us with a mechanism to collect club charges. The reason for the club charges is simply to finance the trophies as well as any other events that may cost money. Our 1-year anniversary is also coming up, and this time, with the consent of the president, of course, I believe that we will be participating in the district contests as well. And for those contests, once they are done, and let me also announce that our district has decided that we'll be having hybrid contests. So that means that every member of Quantum League who is not a district officer, which leaves very few, by the way, can compete. So for those contests, there are 4 district mandated contests, and we can later decide whether we'll have 4 or 5 or how many we will have. But even if we have 1, we'll need trophies and other souvenirs for the contestants. So that's the primary purpose. Plus, if any other expenses that are incurred towards the promotion and membership of the club for those, we will also be needing funds. Of course, all those funds will be expended with the full approval of the executive committee and the club. So that was the support resolution.
Thank you very much, DTM Tala. Is anyone want to participate in the debate?
I just want to offer my opinion, if that's okay.
Oh, please, please.
I know the dues that you mentioned, 1,000 rupees for 6 months, making it a round number. But I understand the dues are prorated depending on when the member joins. If they're joining at the start of the dues period, which will be October 1st or April 1st, then 1,000 is fine. But if otherwise, if you take 1,000 divided by 6 months, you're getting 166 rupees, 66 paisas. So my suggestion would be, if you want to go 165 rupees per month, which would be 990, or 170 rupees per month, which would be 1,020, to make it even for the treasurer. Otherwise, the treasurer is going to have difficulty.
We believe, thank you very much, DTM Sarfaraz. You are absolutely right. But we believe that the members in the quantum leave normally for the 6 months. And we do have the practice over here that once a member is joining a club, we are charging not prorated. We are giving the benefit after the 6 months. So the first time we are charging the 6 month fees as a whole, but the next renewal, he's getting the prorated benefit. Any other queries or addition? Those in favor, please raise your hand to adopt the motion. I can't make it. 1, 2, Ajay, Mubina, Khurram. So motion is adopted as raised by DTM Talha. So thank you very much, Khurram. So let me welcome to Toastmaster Maya, Toastmaster Sarfraz. By the way, I think you are a member of the club. Still you are a guest.
I'm a guest.
You are still the guest. Make a membership now.
I'm one of those guests that arrives and never leaves.
No,
like a mother-in-law that comes for a few days, but then a few months pass by and she's still there.
We need the mother, not the mother-in-law. So I welcome to Toastmaster Elias and Toastmaster Sarfraz, Toastmaster Maya, Toastmaster Wahid, and who is Santhya is also a member, I believe.
I'm another permanent guest.
Oh, you're also a permanent guest. Okay.
Yes.
So thank you very much. And
she was also
we'll talk about the permanent seat holder at the end of the meeting. Let's move to the education session. Since we overtook 3 minutes, so I hope that our Toastmaster of the day manage the time at the end of the meeting so we can conclude on the time. So the person I'm going to call today, he is intellectual. And he is always come is the bright ideas. And you will see, always he's smiling and spread the smiles and breaking the barrier. Please put your hand together, welcoming our TMOD, DTM Sudarshan. Over to you, DTM Sudarshan.
I think the captain is the most important.
I think Dr. Amit Sharma.
Maybe the judge?
He stays at the border all the time so that we can spend time with our family. He makes sure our safety is his first priority.
She's upholding the Constitution of India. It's a very, very big thing. इतने crimes हो रहे हैं. Such a difficult job, ना? Justice देना.
जैसे कोविड सिचुएशन में सब लोग डरे हुए थे. Everyone was locked up in the house. But doctors and the entire medical fraternity was right there. They were trying to save us.
I think Smita ji.
Maybe her?
She's the one.
बाकी सबका तो मतलब मुझे पता ना कि ये डॉक्टर हैं, जज हैं, बट ये मैम क्या करती हैं, आई डोंट नो.
क्योंकि उनके नाम के आगे कोई टाइटल नहीं है. And honestly, I don't really know who she is and what she does.
मेरा नाम स्मिता पटेल है. मैं एक स्कूल टीचर हूँ और ये तीनों मेरे स्टूडेंट्स हैं.
I'm so sorry, मैम.
नहीं, I mean, मुझे लगता है कि ये बहुत important है actually.
टीचर्स नहीं होंगी तो फिर कोई कुछ बन ही नहीं सकता. It is a very selfless job.
It's a noble profession or they are creating geniuses.
But she's kind of shaping the future for the country. Yes, मुझे लगता है कि हर एक टीचर को
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, welcome to our meeting. As you would have understood by now, the theme for today's meeting is our teachers. We are nothing but pieces of clay. We get molded, we get shaped, we get enhanced, we get burnt in the kiln of learning, come out on the other side as human beings that we are today. As much as our parents give us values, it's our teachers that enhance those values, that become the invisible backbone which keeps our backs straight, our heads held high, and our sights on our goals. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world of teachers. Each and every one on the screen and those that are unseen, all of us all over the world are our teachers if we choose to learn. And they say the best school in the world is the school that you don't pay a single dollar as fees. It's the school to which you go even when you don't want to go. The school's name is the School of Hard Knocks. And the School of Hard Knocks teaches you so much that when you get out of that school, you don't get a diploma, you don't get a degree, you don't get a certificate, you don't get to wear a cap and a gown, but you graduate summa cum laude because you have gone through that fire and come on to the other side. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what we are going to celebrate today. We are going to celebrate how we get inspired, we get encouraged, we get enthused by our teachers to do what we think is probably not even probable, but eventually we achieve even the impossible. As St. Francis de Assisi once said, that if you start with what is necessary, soon you're trying to do what is improbable, and eventually you're also doing what is impossible. And it is only achievable because we have behind us the wind beneath our wings, which are our teachers. Let me share an example from my own life. I recollect as a grade 6 or a grade 7 kid, I was petrified. On the road, when the temperature outside was 39 degrees Celsius, just like it is in Lahore today, I was shivering. I had quivering hands and quivering feet, and I was very reluctant to go to school because I had a math exam, and I was sure to score a princely 0 out of 100, and I didn't want to write the exam. There was a paraplegic beggar who used to sit about 200 meters outside my school. That gentleman had No hands, no feet. He had leather gloves stitched to what should have been stumps of his hands and his feet. But the smile on his face never left him. He looked at me and he said, "Young man, what's your problem?" I said, "I have a maths exam and I'm going to fail. But what's it to you?" He said, "What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to fail, right? But you will learn 2, 3 new questions. You will go home and try to find answers to those questions. Guess what? You will still pass that exam, because those 2 questions which you didn't know, you will know today. The rest you anyway didn't know. So all that is going to happen is you're going to fail in that exam but pass in life. Don't worry, just go and write the exam." I of course did not pass the exam, but I came out of that exam head held high, because I knew I didn't put the effort, therefore the result. But I learned what to do next time. And this was a teacher that came out of the blue to me. And that's exactly what happens to each and every one of us. If we choose to look around, if we choose to engage, if we choose to connect, there are millions and billions of teachers. The earth has 7 billion souls around it, which are sentient in nature. And then there are innumerable animals and birds who all teach us something or the other. And this learning never stops. It has got no barriers whatsoever. No age, no caste, no creed, no religion, no country, nothing. Learning is universal. Learning is eternal. Learning starts when you are in your mother's womb and does not stop even after you passed away, because your soul that you leave behind is continuing to give. And therefore, welcome to this journey of learning. Welcome to this journey of embracing, engaging, and enthralling yourself with your teachers. Today our meeting is power packed. We have a lot going on. There is one change in the agenda that I need to announce right now. We will have our Geek of the Week going first, then our keynote speaker. But as I'm saying that, I think our Geek of the Week is there, and I know that he is waiting to catch a flight. Therefore, as our saying goes in the meeting, every meeting you go out of this meeting learning something a little better than what you knew before. And that's when we geek out on a certain concept. To do the honors today, we have someone who's an eloquent speaker. But even more than being an eloquent speaker, every time he speaks, he comes in with some nugget of knowledge which you can keep in your back pocket and throw out as that card up your sleeve when you are in a bind. This is Toastmaster Khurram Saeed Chishti, who is going to be our Geek of the Week. So right now, I'll invite Khurram to take the stage and tell us what he wants us to geek out about. Toastmaster Khurram, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, for an amazing introduction. I'm just sharing my screen. Please let me know when you can see that. Can everybody see my screen? Okay. So, fellow Toastmaster, as DTM Sudarshan, the Toastmaster of the Day, told us that we need to find our ways. We need to always look for something new, and our teachers are helping us in that. Today, I want to show you something very amazing. But just to build a background before that, what are the essentials of life? This is according to me. It's not necessarily with you, but maybe it's different. But I believe the essentials of life are food and water, belonging and emotions, your progress and your satisfaction. Once you have these 3 with you, you have all the essentials of life you need. Now today, then what we are talking about, water. Water, whenever we think, we sense life in our background, greenery in our background, but think here, there is no water. And can you imagine the value of the water in this area as compared to the rich water area where we are living? So where the water is scarce, the people find their way out. And it is amazing to know, last year when I was in Expo 2020 in Dubai, I learned that the United Nations is funding a program of Fog to Water, mainly in South America. And it is such an amazing idea, where I know that the countries like India and Pakistan, there's a lot of fog. I know there's a smoke in some of the cities because of the pollution, but there are other areas, there a lot of fog is there, and the clean water is not available. So really, an amazing idea to put a mesh collect the fog to water and have a clean water every time. Just to make a more appropriate, I would like to show you a 2-minute video out of my 5-minute time. That's make more sense. So let's have a view.
Water is an essential resource. It's something we all need to survive. Yet roughly over 1 billion people in the world don't have access to a reliable source of clean drinking water.
Here in Chile, we have the Atacama Desert, which is the driest spot on the world. There are places in which there has never been recorded a single droplet of rain. At the same time, we have this fog coming from the ocean, which is a source of fresh water.
One technology we've been trying to think about here at MIT, together with colleagues from around the world, is can you actually collect water droplets from fog?
Agua, fog.
So this water has been naturally desalinated by the sun. It's condensed onto dust particles, and then what we're trying to do is build meshes and porous structures that will actually collect that water straight out of the air.
In nature, you can see that plants with narrow leaves are more efficient in capturing these small water droplets. A fog collector does nearly the same.
By changing the size of the holes and the size of the fibers and thinking about the coating on those fibers, we've improved the fog collecting efficiency by about 500%.
With the improving technology, there are new projects in the north of Chile in which people are using fog water. In Chañaral, for instance, former fishermen, they have turned into agriculture thanks to fog water.
We decided to grow aloe vera because it is a plant of the desert and it requires very little care. This plant has many uses, and we also eat it because it's very good for your health.
There's approximately 10 billion cubic meters of fog water available annually in the Chilean clouds. If we could harvest just 4% of that, it's going to be sufficient to provide their drinking water needs for an entire year.
So fellow Toastmasters, as you guys see that with nothing, there is so many things are possible. You can do it, we can do it in our area. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Khurram. You've touched upon something very, very vital and taught us the value of harnessing our nature to give us our life-giving water. As I said, you leave every meeting a little wiser, and this is your tip for the day. You can make water out of air. If you don't believe me, Toastmaster Khurram, once he lands on the other side after his flight, is your man. Please give him a call and understand how to pull water from thin air. Let's now move on further. Someone here who's come all the way from the east coast of the United States, well past her bedtime, is here. She's smiling away to glory. She's going to speak to us today. But before I give the stage over to her, let me introduce our keynote speaker of the day. Her name is Maya. Maya in my culture means a myth, a mirage, something that is not there but you feel it. But you can see her, you can feel her, you're going to hear her in a few minutes. So she is very much real, but she is going to create for us that mirage of hope, which is what we all need, because she herself has gone through life gathering knocks, much like a much beloved car has dents and dings all over it, but you still don't want to sell it because it runs very smoothly. Every time you sit in the seat, you become one with that car. Exactly that way, Toastmaster Maya has learned from all over the world. And today, what she is doing is she's imparting that knowledge and telling each and every one of us, life is full of hard knocks. But hey, my friend, these hard knocks are what are going to teach you and going to make you the human that you ought to be and the human that you can be. And therefore, without further ado, I will invite up on stage our keynote speaker for the morning, for the afternoon, for the evening, for the night, wherever in the world you are. All I request of you is sit back, listen carefully, and let us inundate her with so many questions that at the end of this keynote, she will also learn a thing or two about you and I. Therefore, without further ado, Toastmaster Maya, the stage is all yours. Go ahead and educate us on the School of Hard Knocks.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. Thank you so much, everyone, for having me. It is an honor for me to be here. And it was really interesting how the conversation prior touched on a lot of points that I was going to discuss. And I'm really happy to be here.
Sorry, Toastmaster Maya. Two things. First of all, make sure you can see my window, which is the timer window. Can you see it?
Yes.
And let me remind you to start recording.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, let me remind you to start recording.
Thank you very much. Thank you again for having me. My speech is entitled, How My Hardships Became My Greatest Teachers. There are some things in life we know are certain to happen. We know we'll get hungry at times. We know we'll get thirsty at times. We can pretty much predict that as we get older, we'll go gray hair. Some of us will go white hair. And if you are someone from my father's side of the family, unfortunately, white hair doesn't wait for you to be old. It actually comes really early in your 20s. That is not fun at all. Trust me about that. There are some expected life occurrences that we look forward to, like becoming an adult, meeting the right life partner, and making great lifelong friends. However, there are also some things that we know most likely will happen and that we wish we could skip altogether. Some of those things are hardships and going through tough times. No one likes them, but unfortunately, everybody experiences that at one point or another in their lives. Yes, I don't know anyone who gladly welcomes a rough patch in their lives. And I don't know anyone who doesn't have at least one or two on their belt. Do you like facing hardships? I don't think so. I certainly do not like it myself. Many of us know someone who has worked so hard to get a promotion at work just to be denied. That makes you feel disappointed in yourself. It may make you feel not valuable, not worthy, and make you feel angry and sad and even depressed. Some of you had heard the frustration of a loved one when facing a car repair or home repair that they were not expecting, when the funds are just not there to take care of it. A lot of us spend time studying so hard for a test, just like the previous speaker said, or the speaker before that, just to fail in the end. And it really, really feels bad. It is very difficult for a mother or father to lose a job they love, and more importantly, a job that they need to take care of their families. It is not fun and actually really terrible to have money wasted in an investment that goes bad. Such setback and unexpected events can make people feel they are not good enough, or just that life doesn't want to give them a break. And this can leave people feeling miserable. Sadly, many of us have been there. I have been there. But what if I tell you that your hardships can turn into your greatest teachers? What if your hardships carry gifts with them? I know it may sound a little far-fetched. Maybe not so much after the conversation we've been having today. So let me explain to you how my own hardships became my greatest teachers and how yours can also be your greatest teachers. You see, for years, I resisted and resented all the events and circumstances that made me feel some type of pain, especially emotional pain. I could not see anything good with certain situations. I thought about all of the things that I had been through and sometimes found myself asking God, why? Why did you allow me to go through these things? That resistance and that resentment caused me to develop anger, unhappiness, and feelings of disillusion in life and in myself. What I did not realize back then was that what I know to be true today, that there's always something we can use or utilize from any experience we go through in life, whether they are good or whether they are bad. This realization took years to fully take root in my mind, but it all started with a fateful trip to the emergency room one day. You see, I had fallen ill and I needed to rush to the hospital. When I got there, I learned it had been a very close call. The doctor said that if I didn't come early that day, I probably would have faced death. I was shocked and confused and afraid. I ended up staying in the hospital for a few weeks after and took another few weeks to recover. As I was getting back my strength, I started thinking about that incident. And I realized that if it didn't happen, the trip to the hospital could have been my last trip anywhere. I realized that in a way, this emergency needed to happen for me to take better care of myself, for me to take better care of my nutrition and my health overall. And I know I was frustrated by missing work, but then I realized that I did miss on some work opportunities, but what I gained was the opportunity to do something good for myself. If you ask me about that time when I just left the hospital, I could have told you that was the worst time of my life. But looking back at it today, I don't feel any negative feelings about that incident, about that hardship. And I actually feel gratitude for having gone through that. As you were listening to me speak about that stay in the emergency room, did anything come to your mind about your own life? Did anything come to your mind about your own hardships, your own bad experiences? At the end of my speech, we will get a chance to do a little exercise on that. So stay tuned. If you wonder what happened to me after this time in my life, well, everything changed once I shifted my perspective on that particular experience. I started re-examining every hardship that I had gone through and started working on reframing them. For example, the time that I lost my job was reframed as a time which taught me the importance of staying up to date with my technical skills. That time when I failed an exam I had studied really hard for taught me I needed to study in a manner that resonated with me, not in a manner that my friends were studying. That time that I got sick for a week after going to the cold weather without the proper attire taught me to slow down in the morning and check the weather before I left home. That time I was told I didn't qualify for a scholarship I really needed, taught me to use my creativity and my imagination to think outside the box and get things done no matter what. At a time when a significant friendship failed, what I learned was to be more discerning about who I allowed into my life. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. So again, I ask, what do you think your own hardships can teach you? What have your own hardships taught you in the first place? For me, a hardship hurts as long as we don't assign a meaning to it that can benefit us. Build resentment in you, especially the ones that hurt you a lot. When we don't release negative emotions that we attach to events in our lives, that negativity just festers on the inside and weakens us mentally and physically. The late Dr. Wayne Dyer, a big, heavy hitter in the personal development arena, said, if we change the way we look at things, the things we look at will change. When you stop looking at your hardship as solely negative experiences and start looking for lessons they carry, life gets easier and less heavy. And who doesn't want to feel more peace on the inside? It is such a good feeling. So a little earlier, I mentioned there will be a little exercise regarding reframing your own hardships. It is an exercise that I do all the time, and it really helps me change my perspective on things that really leave negative feelings inside me. If you choose to do so, get a pen and paper or your electronic device. At this time, it may be a good idea to just write the steps of the exercise, and then you could do it later during the Q&A period, or you could do it at home with your friends and family and then share it with people that you know. And the exercise goes like this. First, write one hardship that you had in your life, something that really hurt you. It could be simple as, I had a flat tire on my way to work. Or it could be serious as, I lost my job, or I lost a friend that was really dear to me. Once you do that, try to come up with 3 lessons you learned from that experience, or 3 lessons you could have learned from that experience. It may take a little time, and it's okay. Healing and reframing take time. Once you finish that step, try to say a word of gratitude for each lesson that you identified. Finally, ask yourself about that hardship and try to talk about it in a way where you focus on the lessons instead of focusing on the pain. If you can do it, amazing. And if you can't, it's okay. Like I said before, healing takes time. Just writing the lesson themselves is a big step in changing your perspective. When you're fully able to do the reframing, you can successfully turn a bad experience into one that teaches you. Releasing the bad feelings helps you make room for great things to happen in your life. That is transformation. That is renewal. That is taking your power back from negativity. I hope my talk has inspired you. And I have been inspired by everything I've heard in this room so far. I am grateful for DTM Binhamin for having me here. for the opportunity to be your keynote speaker today. It is an honor for me, and I will always be grateful for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maya. That was very inspiring indeed. Fellow Toastmasters guests, this is your time. This is your opportunity to ask our keynote speaker questions that may have festered in our mind, questions that you've been searching answers for. Maybe Maya can point you in the right direction. So the floor is now open for question and answers. And timer, how much time do we have for it?
We have 5 minutes for Q&A.
Perfect. So 5 minutes and the timer starts now. Yeah.
Maya, can you record? You're going to want to record this. Yeah.
Yes, DTM Talha, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Maya. Sometimes we are expected to keep smiling like an idiot, even when people screw us. And I have found that that's in no way healthy. It kills a little bit of you inside. How are we supposed to tackle that? Expectation versus what we really want to feel, and how we want to deal with a situation like that.
Thank you so much, DTM Binhala. That's a very wonderful question. And one thing that I always say is honor your feelings. One of the first step in any transformation, any mindset shift is being honest about your feelings, because your feelings are also teachers. They tell you what you resonate with, they tell you what you don't. So smothering feelings and just trying to be positive for the sake of being positive doesn't really yield any progress or any success. So you are absolutely thinking the right way. Now, we don't want to stay in negative feelings too long either. So once you give the feelings, the emotions time to be, once you honor them and you acknowledge them, this disappointed me. I feel terrible. I feel disappointed. Then you take a deep breath. Breath is one of the greatest tools in calming the mind and calming the soul. And then what I recommend is start writing what I said in the exercise. Now, what can I take from this situation to serve me? And sometimes it's not a matter of eliminating the first emotion. It's more a matter of focusing on new emotions. And by focusing on new emotions, the old emotion naturally dissipate. So honor the emotion, but then shift your focus on the positive, and eventually the positive will overtake the negative.
That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Maya.
Okay, there is a question that's come on chat. Do we need to record all of our hardships into a journal? Do we need to read it again, or just keep it as a keepsake? That's a question from Ilos Theophilus from Indonesia.
Thank you so much for the question. It's a very good question. One thing that's very healing in dealing with hardships is actually giving it a voice, as I was saying earlier. And some people, most people, give it a voice by writing. Me personally, in my own healing journey, in my own mindset shift, I started with writing what I felt I couldn't express. I started writing what I felt nobody would understand. So writing is very therapeutic, as long as we can do it safely, because, you know, a lot of times we write things that are personal, and you want to make sure that it doesn't get in the hands of people that can use it against you. So I actually had a little code system that I wrote. I speak several languages, so I created a little code system where it would be difficult for somebody to decipher what I was writing. But absolutely, writing is one of the steps in healing and is changing your mindset. You know, people now talk about emotional intelligence a lot. And one of the things that, you know, that is talked about is how, you know, we need to give voice to our emotions. We need to create emotional resilience. And it does start with acknowledgement. As long as you can do it safely, put things down. But again, just staying in that hardship emotion is not healthy either. So whenever we record a negative emotion, either we speak on it or write about it, always make sure that it's temporary. So if you have a journal where you have those things, not a journal you go to all the time, because all it does is keep that past experience in the present. And Louise Hay, she's a well-known, she passed away, but she's created Hay House. Hay House is a big publishing house, and they do a lot of personal development. And, you know, I'm sorry, but she talks about that a lot. That's, I would say that's somebody that just look up Louise Hay and look at how she talks about healing. And she talks about, you know, writing, but then moving on from the writing.
Thank you. I think we've come to the end of the allotted time. I'm sure there are so many more questions. I have about 10 follow-up questions, but paucity of time prevents us from asking. Maya, one request, if you could share with us how we can get in touch with you. Maybe offline, people can write to you, maybe people can connect with you on your platform, etc. And that could mean new business for you and for us, new learning. So if you don't mind, if in the chat, if you can put your answers. In fact, another question is followed up from Elos Theophilus. How do we filter which one should be recorded or things that should be consulted only with family or friends? I'm sure the answer for that can go on into a couple of pages. So I would request if you can share your email and we can connect with you offline, it will really help because we need to get going with the rest of our meeting. I hope you do understand. Thank you very much once again. Thank you very much once again, ladies and gentlemen. As I've been saying, please record your questions to Maya directly.
Thank you for the honor.
And share it with all of us. Yeah, go ahead. So let's now carry on further with the rest of our meeting. Obviously, for conducting any meeting, we need some pillars in our tent. And those pillars are people that actually support the meeting. One of whom we have already seen in action, which is our timer, who is assiduously keeping track of time. We also have with us our language evaluator or our grammarian, and that is Toastmaster DTM GK Ajay. So I would request you to quickly, in about 30 seconds, give us a brief of your role.
Thank you, DTM Sudarshan. My role as a language evaluator is to listen to all the speeches and make a note of good used words and the words which are not properly used and give my recommendations. And along with that, I would like to introduce the word of the day, that is adjure, meaning urge or request someone solemnly or earnestly to do something. Usage, I adjure you to tell me the truth. Idiom of the day, I am all ears. Mom, are you even listening to me? Yes, dear, I am all ears. So I will post these word of the day and idiom of the day in the chat window. And whenever the speaker uses the word of the day, show single thumbs up. And whenever the speaker uses the idiom of the day, show double thumbs up. This is to encourage the speaker to use more and more often. Thank you, and back to you, DTM Sudarshan.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster GK Ajay. For the word of the day, I was all ears to listen to what DTM Ajay is going to come up with, and therefore the word and the phrase of the day is something that we should liberally sprinkle all around our speeches when we speak in the rest of the meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now proceed further to that session which promises immense learning. And this learning is something that is available to prepared speeches section, but in reality, I like to call it the life experience session, because our prepared speakers go through life in various facets and various forms, come and share with us a slice of their life experience. I adjure all of you to make sure that you listen with your listening ears and imbibe in you what our teachers in the form of our prepared speakers are going to tell us today. We have two prepared speeches, one of which is actually a reflective speech, someone that's looking in the rearview mirror and telling us how her experience shaped her during the progress of her path. And the next one is a speech which talks about a lot of different aspects, and I shall introduce that when the time is right. Right about now, it is time for our speaker number one to come and take the stage and speak to us about her reflections. And the lead evaluator of her speech is DTM Saif Ali Sheikh. I would like to request the lead evaluator to please read out the specific speech objectives.
Sir, just apologies. There's a slight error in the agenda. The commendation is by GK Ajay for this, and also the recommendation. So it was mistakenly done. So maybe if someone else can come forward for the recommendation for this particular speech, it would be lovely. Maybe the team Sarfraz, if you are up to it.
Oh, okay, Talha, like I was mentally prepared that I should go for recommendations and recommendations. That's okay if.
All right, if you're okay with that, let's
Yeah.
go ahead with that. Sorry, DTM Saif, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, TMOD, and in particular, Toastmaster Mubina Subhan. She is attempting a last project of her path, selected innovative planning, and purpose statement for this project. The purpose of this project is for the member to reflect on his or her growth during the completion of an entire path. The second purpose of this project, the speech is for the members to share some aspect of his or her growth during the completion of a path, and title of her speech is The Experience, and time 5 to 7 minutes. Over to TMOD.
Thank you very much, DTM Saif.
Before,
Fellow Toastmasters guests, before I give the stage up to our speaker, let me do the honors of introducing our speaker. Every time she comes on stage, it is erudition personified. Every time she comes on stage, whether or not you connect with the speech, the one thing that you will live with is the meticulousness of her preparation. Even today, she is absolutely ready, raring to go. And I promise you one thing, you will learn something different every time you listen to this particular speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, let's join our hands together to welcome up on stage our speaker number one, Toastmaster Mubina Rauf. Toastmaster Mubina Rauf, Reflections, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, facilitator of the day. Thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction. I'm really honored. Before I start, I just want to clarify one thing. The timing of the speech is 10 to 12 minutes, not 5 to 7 minutes. Okay. I'm audible and visible.
Yes, you are.
Life is a series of irremediable blunders. Success hides them and failure reveals them. Mr. Facilitator, fellow Toastmasters, good morning and good evening wherever you are. I first read this quote in my late brother's diary. My brother left for his heavenly abode quite young at age. But this quote is etched in my life as if he's coming and telling me again and again, see, I told you so. I started my Toastmasters journey long before the pathways and achieved a few laurels in public speaking and some understated leadership projects. And one of them was the first youth leadership program we did in Al-Khubar, along with DTM Saif Ali Sheikh, who was my guide. And I'm really proud of that. But I couldn't get the DTM because maybe due to my work situation or my sheer laziness, I would say. or partly because of my hesitancy in speaking in front of people. Yes, after all these years, I still find myself floundering at the idea of standing in front of people and saying something. But my dear Toastmaster friends, they encouraged me once again to start my journey. And they told me that I could easily be a DTM through Pathways. And so I started Pathways journey on 24th August 2020, right in the middle of a global pandemic, when Zoom was the lone hero that facilitated me to restart in Toastmasters. And this is the first lesson I learned the hard way. Life is not a laptop that we could restart if some error occurs. Life is organic. Having a conversation is organic, spontaneous, and speaking in front of people through a 13-inch screen is complicated, complex, and convoluting. I had to reintroduce myself to people who already knew me so well. And this is where my brother's quote helped me. I looked into the lists of my failures and success. And believe me, the latter list was much shorter than the previous. You know, fellow Toastmasters, failure is easy at times, I think. Okay, that was not my cup of tea, done and dusted. But it is the success that is messy. You know, you have to maintain it, sustain it, and you have to preserve it all the way through, and it goes on and on and on. I started my second pathway in this August club, and while writing the icebreaker the third time, I tried to dive into myself to discover something new about myself, which was hidden. And then I eventually came up with an idea and poured my heart out during the speech about my personal struggles during the lockdown, which was really difficult, maybe because of the kind of person I am. As a South Asian woman, the environment has taught me to keep myself and my emotions at bay, always. With this background, we generally don't indulge into analyzing how we feel and why we feel. But it is the pandemic emotions that changed me. It was like positive, negative, positive, negative. It was incredibly amazing to see hope and despair together. After this experience, I believe that it is much more realistic to remain between hope and despair instead of lying in the warm, sunny beaches of idealistic fantasies of positivity. As just before me, DTM Maya also said that. Only the truth can lead us to believing in ourselves. As I refer to Shakespeare in one of my speeches, to be or not to be is a useful phrase. It is in the beginning. But eventually, when we get the hack of it, there are no promises of ease. Nothing is easy. But we get to the point of focusing on our realistic goals, which will benefit us as Toastmasters, maybe, in the long run. And as Toastmasters and as leaders, I think our foremost duty is to pass on this one quality, a belief in oneself, to the new Toastmasters, the nascent generation. of Toastmasters who keep coming into our community. Now, during this journey of innovative planning pathways, I had to talk about how I understand my communication style. And the first thing that came to my mind is, how am I going to talk about something I still don't know? I have no clue about how I communicate. But then during the process, I discovered my communication style, which is, of course, listening more and saying less. I discovered my weaknesses that come with this style, and I did a separate research on that. And did I implement the things I found out, how I could improve myself? I think I'll have to do a separate speech on that. And then I dug into my old manuals while I was working on different projects. And I came up with a few interesting things. For instance, my first mentor's comments when I used to write my speeches and send to him, it is a sort of a refrain. You are a writer, Mubina. Keep writing. He never said keep speaking, but he used to give me tips to how I could improve my writing into a good speech. Anyway, I love to write, but I write about random things, nothing specific, and I must agree with DTM Maya that it is therapeutic. I have always dreamed of writing a book about my mother's life, but again, I'm lazy. But here in this on this platform, I got opportunities to write about different aspects of her life and share it with my fellow Toastmasters. Along with that, it was heartening to talk about my professional life, which I think I've never done before. What I do, how I plan things, and how it can be done, the planning can be done more innovatively, all the while learning new things from this pathway, especially during my continuous research at workplace on emotional intelligence and critical thinking in education. Fellow Toastmasters, during this period of Zoom meetings and online events, thank God we are back to a kind of a hybrid thing now. Nothing could be as effective for me as the innovating planning pathway to learn new skills and to learn the leadership skills in an innovative way. My idea of reading and learning diversified by the vast expanse of, what should I say, practical and active learning during this pathway, and what the Toastmasters offers in different pathways. I found that no matter how much knowledge I have, it is true leadership that leads us to how we connect to others. Why? Because as President Obama once said, I think in his opening speech as president, we may have different stories, but we have the same hopes and fears. We hold common hopes. We can do endless trainings on leadership, but we can't become leaders till we share our hopes and fears with ourselves and with others. Fellow Toastmasters, this journey has been exhaustive, to be very frank, and difficult. But it has been worth it. See you soon. Back to our facilitator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Mubina. I promised you there will be meticulousness in the speech. I promised you there will be learning. I think I have come good on my promise. At this stage, it's important for Toastmaster Mubina to hear back from all of those people who intend to be her teacher for the next 5 to 10 minutes. To lead us all in this journey, I would like to request her lead evaluator, DTM Saif Ali Sheikh, to please take the stage. But before you do that, please unmute yourself and then start speaking. DTM Saif, the stage is
Thank
yours.
you very much, TM Modi. I always forget to unmute myself and start speaking. Thank you for reminding me. Toastmaster Mubina, Toastmaster Mubina, congratulations. Achieving innovative planning pathway completion. I know it's a big effort and continuous efforts and without stop. I have seen you in the last couple of months attempting your project. That was wonderful. Your start was extremely from your heart. You just started with the quote of your brothers, life is a series of hardship and the success. And you mentioned about in 2020, the 24th August 2020, maybe I'm right, maybe the numbers are here and there. You started the pathway from the legacy system. Life is not a laptop. I too agree what you said about it. So this project is required to share your personal experience to inspire the audience to do the same what you have done. For example, you mentioned about it that you understand your communication style through this pathway. I prefer once you said about it, understand my communication style. You just share with us what is your communication style and how you succeeded to communicate with the others. I do believe that really you are a writer. Continue writing a book on your mother. And I'm the first one who is going to buy the book from your side. And the second thing, what you said about the leadership skill in innovative way, how you learn it, how you practice in your pathway, what are the things are more important for you? And the same thing, continuously in the previous evaluators, your face we can see, but your gesture we can't see. Congratulations once again. And I'm calling my commendation, GK Ajay, to please continue. And I will come back to you again.
Thank you, DTM Saif. Mubina Rauf. It's a wonderful speech, and I enjoyed your speech thoroughly. Here are my recommendations, or commendations, sorry. You began your speech with a personal note or a story, and you connected with the Toastmasters journey. That's a wonderful beginning. Throughout your speech, I see that you are calm and reasonable, and at a reasonable pace. And the third thing which I like from your speech is I came to know more about yourself and about your life. So thank you so much, and I wish you all the best for your next speech projects. Back to you, DTM Saif.
Thank you very much, DTM Ajay. Let's move to DTM Tarha for commendation, please.
Thank you so much, DTM Saif. Toastmaster Mubina, you speak like we should speak in Toastmasters. There are people who are just there to go on a stage and speak some words. You are one of the few people who actually live their life right before us. And I believe that's the only way to connect to the audience. So congratulations on your bravery, congratulations on your boldness, and congratulations on your eloquence. Your connection to the audience today, like any of your other speeches, was absolutely superb. And that came from your genuine emotions, your absolutely fantastic usage of language, and the desire to put it all out without any filters. Thank you so much for that. Over to you, DTM Saif.
Thank you very much, DTM Kala. Let's move to the recommendation. And who is the best critic? None other than DTM Sudarshan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lead Evaluator. Toastmaster Mubina Rao, first of all, congratulations on completing your path. It is indeed a very important milestone. Couple of recommendations specific to this speech and not a generic recommendation. One being, this is a reflection of your learnings. If you could have summarized it at the end of your speech saying, these are the 4 things that I learned to do and these are the 3 things that I learned not to do, that would help anyone else following in your footsteps to learn how to approach this path and deliver it to the best of their abilities. The second is, as has already been pointed out, we would definitely like to see your gestures, at least your hand gestures. So maybe adjust the screen of your laptop to an extent where at least we can see some portion of your gestures, because yes, we know you are an erudite speaker who relies more on the power of words than on the power of gestures, etc. But I'm sure even you have a slight few gestures, and just like the topping on the biryani of the roasted onions, we want that, and that's the only 2 recommendations for you. Back to you, DTM Saif.
Thank you, DTM Sudarshan. Let's move to DTM Ajay for recommendation.
Thank you, DTM Saif. Mubina Rao, I have one recommendation for you after listening to your speech. The speech title says the experience. I thought you will be speaking more about your experience while you're traveling through the path. It would be better if you could have spoken about where were you at the beginning of the path and where were you now, the differences. Okay, that's the path reflection which I feel, and also could recommend this path to the audience or members so that they can also show interest. So it's a kind of encouragement for the members. I feel that if you could incorporate the initial stage and the current stage, we could see the progress of you. So that's the only recommendation. Apart from that, I thoroughly enjoyed your speech and all the best for your future speech projects.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Ajay. Let me take my time back from the timers. I need 30 seconds because I just left it. Toastmaster Mubina, what I noticed throughout the last part of your speech, you were struggling to get some words. Either it is a written script, either you forget in between. That gave me the impression that you lost the word, or you're not prepared for the speech. You wrote the speech and you did not practice it. This is my feeling. So I prefer as an old timer, whenever you are giving speech, either the 5 minutes or the 10 minutes, just please write before speaking. Let's hear from Toastmaster Mubin.
Thank you so much. I feel so honored getting all these commendations and recommendations from such elite veteran Toastmasters or DTMs. I don't know. I will try my best to improve myself. Maybe when during physical, but for this club, I don't think we'll ever have a physical meeting. I just want to end with a story. A long time back, I was competing in an area contest, and I thought I had a wonderful speech, an original speech, and with a very strong message. I went to the stage. I delivered the speech, but I was nowhere close to the winner, who came up with a story, an internet story known to everybody, but he was the winner. And I was like, why did I lose? I don't know. But then the chief guest of that particular day, he came to me and he said, your speech was awesome, wonderful, and you are my winner. And that was enough for me. And later, when we discussed with other Toastmasters, they said, it is your body language, your movements on the stage, and your voice modulation, a child's voice, a man's voice. sorry, I can't do that. I can't do that because I'm not an actor. I'm just a speaker. So I will end my short, feedback here. And thank you so much for your feedback. I will remember it and note it down. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Mobina. Yes, I know you are a teacher. Yes, I know you are a writer. Yes, I know you are a speaker. But there's a difference between the speech and the script. You are a good writer of the script. Convert the script into the speech, and I will mentor you in the later sometime. Another thing is that are you in Pakistan now?
No, I'm back to work.
You are back to work. Otherwise, I will present you the pathway completion pin for you. Next month, I'm coming to Saudi Arabia and I will present you the pathway pin.
Thank you so much.
By this, I hand over control back to the TMOD.
Thank you very much. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, before I invite the next speaker, one of the things that Toastmaster Mobina said is very vital. We are speakers, not actors. And let's remember that, because ultimately it's the power of our thought converted into words which communicate more than everything else. That's my opinion, but you're free to disagree with that. But I completely resonate with what Toastmaster Mobina said. Ladies and gentlemen, next up is a speaker that if he had been around about 50 years back, probably would have been the leading light of Bollywood. He would have been a hero romancing the best looking heroines on screen. Even today, the time is not gone. DTM Sarfaraz, if you have not thought about it, there is a career waiting for you to happen. Every time you hear him speak, well past his bedtime, the level of energy that he brings to his speeches makes you want to feel that you are running a marathon with him and he's going to finish the race and you're going to run to catch up with him. And his level of preparation comes through every time he talks about any subject matter that he's chosen. Today again, the speech title itself is very intriguing, but I shall not steal the thunder of his lead evaluator, and therefore I'm going to request his lead evaluator to first let us know the specific objectives of the speech and the time that it is going to take. So DTM GK Ajay, if you can please do the honors and tell us what is the specific objective of the speech.
Thank you, DTM Sudarshan. DTM Sarfaraj Nazir is delivering his speech from level 3 of Team Collaboration Path. The purpose of this project is for the member to be introduced to or review strategies for working in a collaborative group, share some aspects of his or her experience practicing collaborations with a small team. Timer, please note that the time allotted for the speech is 5 to 7 minutes. Before I announce the name or the speech title, let me introduce my team who will be assisting me in evaluating the speaker. For commendations, I have DTM Sudarshan and DTM Saif Ali Sheikh. And for recommendations, I have DTM Saad Shoaib, Toastmaster Mubina Rauf. Please put your hands together for Sarfaraz Nazir, DTM. And the winner is Sarfaraz Nazir, DTM.
Go for it, DTM Sarfaraz.
Most of us have heard the saying, you can take the horse to where the water is, but you cannot force it to drink. Toastmasters are like that. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, I'm not saying that Toastmasters are like horses, because some Toastmasters are worse than horses. In a club meeting, when it comes to getting people to commit to accepting the roles, the Vice President of Education can adjure the members until the cows come home. Few members who are active and are always present and willing to do whatever is expected of them, most of them, no, you have trouble I want to talk to you about a project in one of my clubs, why it was necessary, and how did we go about implementing, and what was the process of team collaboration. In District 25, that has 108 Toastmaster clubs. One of the clubs is Airport Toastmasters that has been around for 38 years. About 8 years ago, I was a member of that club. And then because it was a long distance where the club meeting took place, I finally stopped going and dropped my membership. Last December, I was talking to the club president, who happened to be one of the charter members. And she said, Sarfraz, our VP Public Relations has left the club. So can you rejoin and be the Vice President of Public Relations? Oh, the nice guy I am. Since I've known her for several years, I said yes. So on December 1 of last year, I became a member of this club once again. The club had 17 members at the start of the year, which was 2021. I was the 18th member, along with one other person joining. So in 1 year, only 2 new members joined. And not everyone was coming to the meetings. There are 6 members who are on paper, but we have never seen them. You send them a reminder and they join. They don't join the meeting, they just join the club, meaning they continue to pay their dues. First, it looks nice on their resume. So my plan was to have competition because Americans love competition. Just look at the American football games or the wrestling matches or the boxing matches. So instead of forming a team, I gave a speech in a club meeting before everyone. My plan was to take the club members, divide them into 2 teams. The club is Airport Toastmasters, so we'll have 2 teams, Airport North and Airport South. And let the 2 teams compete. In order for club to be successful, especially in order for us to bring guests and convert them to members, and for members to come to the meetings and accept the roles, the plan was that members and their teams will receive points. If a member attends a meeting, you get 1 point. If the member takes on a role, they get another point for a total of 2 points. If the member gives a speech or is an evaluator or one of the top 3 role holders, like a table topics master or a general evaluator or Toastmaster of the day, they get 3 points. Then we thought, since we want them to bring guests, so if they bring a guest, they get 3 points. If the guest joins that club, they get 10 points. Now, the club doesn't have money to reward the teams. The reward was going out for dinner. The winning team gets dinner, but the losing team has to pay for it, not the club. So I presented this, and we started having a discussion. Some of the people started chatting, and one guy said something, and a female responded, in your dreams. Oh, I'm going to beat you. No, you are good. They were already competing through chat. So once we implemented, the plan was to first meeting on 7th July to kick it off, and then run the competition for 3 months. End of September, the winning team goes out for a nice dinner to be paid by the losing team. Then after I gave my speech, a few days later, in a small team, the president and one of the team members, we met in person to discuss the point system to finalize. At first, I thought maybe we should have the same points for each role. Then we thought, well, maybe it's better if they bring guests and we give them more points. So we changed the points. So that's how it worked, back and forth, and we finalized it, kicked it off. At every meeting, the club secretary tells us how we are doing. What has happened because of it, more members are attending. Not only they're attending, they're now accepting roles. And the good thing, fellow Toastmasters, is that at the end of meeting, before we adjourn the meeting, the VP education, who was also the club president, goes over the agenda and says, okay, who was to be the general evaluator? Who wants to, and people start, okay, I will take that. Okay, how about you? You want to be the tabletop master? Oh, okay, I will. Because people know there's points to be awarded. And if they don't think about the points, the club immediate past president reminds them, oh, there's more points if you are a speaker. Okay, I'll give a speech. It's working. Now, we won't know exactly the full impact of it until the end of this month. So I'll come back sometimes in October and let you know, not give a speech, but just let you know how it went. But it has worked. The collaboration itself was just talk to everyone and then meet in a small group to finalize the point system and kick it off. This is how you bring Toastmasters. Something that they can hang on to it. So they feel a part of it. Because, hey, I want to win. No, you're not going to win. No, we'll make sure you don't win. Oh, competition. Who doesn't love competition? Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, tell me, wasn't that worthy of something that a Bollywood hero would have delivered? Another big round of applause. Let me now give the stage up to his lead evaluator, DTM GK Ajay, to start the ball rolling for his evaluations.
Thank you, DTM Sudarshan. And the winner is, thank you, Toastmaster Sarfraz Nazir, for your wonderful speech. I would like to start with the things which I like in your speech and then move on to the areas of improvement and then summarize. Let me begin with the things which I like in your speech. You started your speech with a quote saying that you can take the horse to the water but cannot make it to drink. I initially actually like the speeches which starts with the quotes, and you move on to speaking about the process of team collaboration and how the club, Airport Toastmasters Club, facing the challenges and what are the things you implemented and how it worked, and a little bit of glitches kind of a thing, and what are the reward systems. You spoke more about that club, and I also like the reward system which was implemented at the club. So I would like to implement the same thing at my club as well. And I also like the benefits of filling up the meeting roles in advance for the next meeting. And yeah, and I completely resonate with your story. Okay, so these are the things which I like in your speech. Now moving on to the recommendations, there are two things which I would like to recommend. At the beginning of your speech, you said TMs are TMs in the sense Toastmasters are worse than horses. If you can speak why you have to mention that in your speech, that would be very clear. But I was thinking you might be referencing that statement somewhere in your speech, but you did not speak about that. And the second most important thing is who the final winner is. Is it the EC or is it the club, or is it a member who brought that idea of that structure of that reward system? The speech is good, but I feel that the speech got ended abruptly without mentioning the winner. If you could spoken about the winner or even the members of the winners kind of a thing, then it would make more sense bring more sense to the speech. Overall, I enjoyed your speech and I wish you all the best for your next speech projects. And I would like to start the commendations part, and I would like to request DTM Sudarshan to begin the commendations part.
Thank you very much, DTM Ajay. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, first of all, in my introduction, had said the speaker brings energy to his speeches. This speech was overflowing with abundance of energy, and that was communicated through not just his words, his facial expressions, and the vehemence with which he delivered his speech. He seemed completely and utterly convinced about the concept that he was presenting to us, and he then further went on to demonstrate how that worked. And that's the essence of a speaker who's presenting a concept with an exhortation to all of us to say, this works. It has worked for us, and this is the way it worked. In terms of specific commendations, what I would like to tell DTM Sarfaraz is that the fact is that the speech was very simple to understand. The concept itself was a little more complex, but he presented it in such a simple manner that we all can imbibe. As DTM Ajay said, this can be replicated all over the world in just a jiffy, because what does it? Give points to your members. And the conviction with which he said it, to me, resonates so deeply that I want to emulate this wherever I go, not just in my clubs, but even in other areas that I'm interested in. So thank you very much for this speech, and it was a power-packed speech. Back to you, DTM JK Ajay.
You're muted.
Go on mute.
I'm so sorry. Thank you, DTM Sudarshan. I would like to request DTM Saif Ali Sheikh to provide his commendations.
Thank you very much, lead evaluator, DTM Ajay, and in particular, Toastmaster, double or triple or the quadrant for DTM Sarfaraz. You are source of inspiration and energy. Throughout your speech, you was energized and spreading the energies to all of us. You gave us a good idea, even that can be implemented in a Quantum Leap Toastmaster class. The best thing is that what I like the most, and I'm going to commend on you, your light arrangement that is focused to your face, and there is no shade on your face. And the way you're standing in front of the camera, we can see the boxing and going here and there. So that is a great arrangement. Keep it up. Looking forward to see you in more speeches. Over to the lead evaluator.
Thank you, DTM Saif Ali Sheikh. And let's move on to the recommendations part. I would like to request DTM Saad Shoaib to provide his recommendations.
Actually, DTM Saad has, I think, temporarily disconnected. He was facing connection issues. So maybe we can skip him and
okay.
move to the
Okay. May I request Toastmaster Mobina Rauf to provide the recommendations, please?
Good morning once again. How can I recommend to Sarfaraz Nazir, a World Championship finalist? I'm really at odds, but I'll try to say something. Your speech was wonderful, full of energy and power-packed, as DTM Sudarshan said. But there was only one comment that I found when you said that most Toastmasters are worse than horses. It was, I think, in my opinion, it like a Toastmaster like you, it was a bit below the belt. You could have avoided it. That is the only thing I noticed. Otherwise, I thoroughly enjoyed your speech. Congratulations, DTM Sarfaraz.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mobina Rauf. Now may I request the speaker, DTM Sarfaraz Nazir, to provide his comments.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. First, about the horse comment, I think I wanted to say some, not most Toastmasters, some Toastmasters are worse than, and I think you are correct in saying that, why did I say it? I should have clarified. The reason I said was that some are worse than horses because horse, you can take them to the water. You just cannot force them or make them drink water. Some Toastmasters, you can't even take them to the water. They won't budge from where they are. So that's why I said that, but I should have said another sentence saying why I'm saying that. And in this competition, thought maybe we give some award to the top person, individual, for second, third place. Then I said, no, let it be a team event only, so only team event. And the club is not collecting any club dues because we meet online. So there's not too many funds to give dinner to the winning team. So the losing team is going to pay for the winning team, total bill divided by the number of persons. And the winner was titled, maybe the title was misleading because we have not announced the winner. The competition ends on the last meeting of this month, which will be 29th. And then we will know who the winner is, which we know right now based on the way we stand. But the actual winner will be announced at the end of this month. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, DTM Sarfraz Nazir. And back to you, TMOD DTM Sudarshan.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Ajay. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, this is that time of the meeting where we look back at the way we have utilized that most important resource, time. So I would like to request our timer to read out the timer's report for both the speakers and all the evaluators.
Thank you so much, DTM Sudarshan. Without going into too much detail, I would just say that all the speakers, the keynote speaker, the Q&A, the round robin evaluators, the lead evaluators, all were well within time. So there was not even a borderline case, all were well within time. For that, everyone deserves a round of applause. And I'll be floating the relevant polls very shortly, so please vote. Thank you so much.
I can see that our president has dropped off. Maybe he's going to join back, hopefully. And let's continue with the rest of our meeting. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I have been honored and privileged to learn from possibly the most experienced set of people that ever existed, taxi drivers. So I would like to share an incident that happened with me. I was sitting at the back, in the back seat behind the driver, very morose, very, very upset about what had happened during the day. And I was continuously staring outside the window, and it was a long journey from Abu Dhabi to Dubai. The journey was almost going to be 2 hours long. And as the car was driving, the driver tried to engage me in a conversation. The driver was a Pathan from Pakistan. So the first thing, as we do in Dubai, he asked me, "Aap kahan se ho?" And when I said India, he started off on a long ramble about what he knows about India. But then he kept looking at me in the rearview mirror and he keeps asking me, "Kya hua sir? Aapke saath kya ho raha hai?" And I said, "Nahi, chodo, aap gaadi chalao." For those that don't understand Hindi, he said, I told him, "You do your job, just drive the car. I'm not interested." Then he said, "Sir, wahan dekhen aap." And I turned to look. There was a Rolls Royce passing us in the fast lane. He looks at it and says to me, "Kabhi kabar wo bhi garage jati hai." At times, even the Rolls Royce goes to a garage. Whatever is happening with you, think of it as the Rolls Royce going to the garage. You will be tuned, you will be refurbished, and you will run faster on the road. Ladies and gentlemen, that lesson that day was so critical for me because that was the day I had been fired. I had been told by my boss, "This is your last month in the bank. We would like you to resign." For no fault of mine, of course, as it always is. You know, when you look back and you realize that there were things that you could have done differently, is when you know that you could do. But in my mind, I was perfect. I had not done anything. But those words that day changed my perspective. And trust me, to this date, I'm eternally grateful to that teacher of mine who told me, even a Rolls Royce goes to the garage at some point in time. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, you are those Rolls Royces. You are running on the road and you will go to the garage at some point in time. But remember the greatest teacher. He always puts you in a situation because he knows you can come out of it and you will be better for that experience. So that in itself is a lesson that we can learn if we are just ready to imbibe lessons. That is something that any teacher anywhere in the world can give you. Let's now proceed further with our meeting. We are coming to that segment of our meeting where we are called upon to exercise that muscle in our body which needs a lot of exercise but gets the least of it, which is our brain. But when you connect your brain with your mouth coherently, what comes out is a set of thoughts which I want to listen to and enjoy. That is called table topics in our parlance, and that is going to be a session helmed by the man in the red t-shirt who has been wearing multiple hats today and is now going to don the hat of our table topics master. I will not waste my time introducing him because he's been introduced multiple number of times and there is hardly anyone in the Toastmasters fraternity who does not know this gentleman. Just to name him, I will call him DTM Talha bin Hamid, who is going to be our table topics master for the afternoon, morning, evening, night, wherever in the world you are. DTM Talha, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, DTM Sudarshan. As also the timer of this meeting, I'm thoroughly grateful for you for not introducing me. So we will jump straight into it. The theme of the meeting is all about teachers, human teachers, events, life experiences that teach us. So there will be 3 speakers. Word of the day is adjure, and phrase of the day is all ears. So you're all encouraged to use these 2. And our first table topic speaker will be Toastmaster Azhar Khan. Toastmaster Azhar. Please, yeah. Yes, Toastmaster Azhar. Your topic is the teacher that inspired me the most. The teacher that inspired me the most.
I'm audible? Okay. Teacher inspired me most. Every teacher has a different goal and different techniques. I never forget to my academic teacher and my technical teacher, especially Sayyid Nashal and Zubair. They give me the lots of skills and learning points. That's why I think I'm here. Many people know about I'm a designer, I'm an advertiser. So because my teacher pushed me, that's why I'm standing here. Some teacher has good sign in your life. Some teacher gave you some different tips. Some teacher give different thoughts. I think teacher is a very precious person in your life, and you should respect him. And you remember, and you pray for your teachers. So I never forget to my, especially Sayyid Nashal and Azhar. Both are teachers. I never forget. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Azhar. Our next speaker is Toastmaster Mariam Afaq Kidwai. Toastmaster Mariam, are you there?
Hi, yes, I am there. I'm here.
Would it be possible if you could turn on your camera?
No, I'm cooking right now, and I know that you cannot bear those scenes.
So you don't want us to see. You don't want us to see whatever delicious dish you're cooking. Anyhow, your topic is the teacher that terrified you the most. The teacher that terrified you the most. And word of the day is adjure. Phrase of the day is all ears. Over to you, Toastmaster Mariam. We are all ears.
Thank you so much. Firstly, I would like to say that with each passing days in schools or years, you realize that your previous teacher was better than this one. This happened to me all year. But yes, I wouldn't say there were 1, 2, or many that terrified. That was what I would say. But yes, there were teachers who have given me, as a student, quite a tough time that I can improve myself later. That helped me. There were teachers who might have not seen my raised hand enough to pick me up and call me upon, but that showed me that sitting on the last bench, I cannot show them that I exist. I learned that. There were teachers with whom I do expect, but later on that really killed my expectations or showed me or taught me a lesson that do not expect too much until unless you give them something in return. I got a lesson. I learned that day. I won't name anyone because I don't remember that. My memory is so good. I don't remember those things that happened even last night. Thankful for that. But yes, there were scenes in my mind that go flashes by. But every time that goes by, they taught me a lesson. My teachers, whether good, bad, I do remember my good teachers. Yes, I do remember them still. But bad ones, I don't remember them. I just have some scenes flashes on. But every scene taught me a lesson. And I move on. Move forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mariam. And our third speaker is our friend, Toastmaster Adil Al-Juhaim. Toastmaster Adil, are you there, sir? Toastmaster Adil, are you there? All right, we will move on and we will assign our third topic to DTM Swing. DTM Sat, your topic is the teacher you fell in love with. The teacher you fell in love with, or teachers you fell in love with. Word of the day is endure, and the phrase of the day is all years. Over to you.
So for this topic, I actually had to actually shut my door. So because else it would have been a very awkward situation. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, a teacher that I fell in love with. Well, I'll be totally honest here. It was after 2011. I had just passed my 10th standard, and I was in a boarding school with all boys. And then after that, I of course went into a co-education college and institute and so on. And then one after the other, the teachers that I saw were like, I actually went like, wow. This continued for about I think 2 years, and then after that I entered in my bachelor's, and then this ended. So that was my story, and back to you, table topic master DTM Talabina.
Thank you so much. Let me make a confession. I fell in love with a lot of teachers in my primary school. Every teacher I fell in love with, she got married off. So I'm responsible for at least 5 beautiful ladies finding suitable proposals And in the subcontinent, that's about the pinnacle of achievement. So yeah, I've just received a message from Toastmaster Adil Al-Juhaiman, and he is apparently available for table topics. Sir, are you available for table topics?
Yes, sorry. Good morning.
All right, all right. Lovely to have you. Lovely to have you. All right, sir. Our theme today is all about teachers. All right. So your theme is the teacher that was your best friend. The teacher that was your best friend.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Talha and Saif Ali Sheikh for inviting me for this meeting. The teacher that is my friend. You know, there's so many teachers in our life. We still remember them since the early days. That one who gave us just a little compliment in front of the students and we fall in love with them. Or that teacher who really spent a lot of time preparing for his lecture just for the benefit of the student. But the teacher who is a friend of mine, it is not a human. It is the book. The book is my teacher that I have it every time with me, in my mobile, in my suitcase when I'm traveling, I have it with me. And really, I'm learning from reading much more than I have learned in the university or even in the school, because there we were learning what we are forced to learn to get the certificate. But nowadays, the book is teaching us what we want to learn, what we want to improve. So it is the book. Thank you, Talha, and back to you.
Thank you so much. That was absolutely beautiful. And yes, indeed, books are the best teachers. Now, since all the table topic speakers have qualified, I'll be quickly floating the poll and I'll hand over the charge to our journal evaluator, DTM Saad. Over to you, DTM Saad.
DTM Saad, you can take over. The charge has been handed over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the day, or the morning, or the night, TTM Sudarshan, fellow Toastmasters and honorable guests. It's time for the general evaluations session, and the first part is to introduce the reports of the role holders. And first, I would like to invite the language evaluator, who is TTM GK Ajay. So, sir, over to you.
Thank you, sir. And here is my report. Coming to the word of the day and idiom of the day usage, DTM Sudarshan has used the word of the day and idiom of the day both once, and Mariam Aftab used the idiom of the day once. And moving on to the language usage, I always admire DTM Sudarshan's speech because I can find rich vocabulary in his speech. And as usual, these are the words which I found good in his speech. School of Hard Knocks, score princely 0 out of 100. And assiduously, salutation personify, raring to go. These are the words which I like from DTM Sudarshan's speech at various sections of the meeting. And the keynote speaker, from keynote speaker, I like the one specific word, honor your feelings. And the, okay. And DTM Saif, during his evaluation, he used the word virtue. And I could not make a note of the the bad use or not so good used words because I was so much involved in the evaluation and recommendations and commendations and most of the things. I will try to do my best in the next time when I take up this role again. Back to you, Toastmaster Saad.
Thank you very much, GK Ajay, for that amazing report, and you were very much spot on because even if you weren't, I would not know because I was constantly in and out of the meeting. So thank you very much. So the next role player is the timer of the meeting, who is distinguished Toastmaster Talab bin Hamid. So over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Just a quick report. We are today 10 to 15 minutes behind schedule, and that is mainly because of the business session that took a little longer. So the VP Education, who happens to be myself, is strongly advised to incorporate the timing for the business session in the next agendas. And secondly, all the speakers, the role players, the evaluators, the lead evaluators, the round robins, the table topic speakers, all were well within time. So congratulations once again, everyone. And I've already explained why we are behind schedule, so that will also be fixed by next meeting. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Talab bin Hamid, fellow Toastmaster and guests. It's now time for my own general evaluation of the meeting. The meeting roundabout began on time because I had a call from the VP Education that come join the meeting. You're late. Okay, so I was like, fine. So the meeting began on time. We had an amazing keynote speaker from far away, and that's actually the beauty of Quantum Leap Toastmaster, that we actually bring people together from across the world. So that was well done. The prepared speeches were both outstanding, and we also have a pathway completion. So well done, Toastmaster Mobina, and the table topics were according to the theme. So all of the meeting went absolutely smoothly. Just the one thing that we can work upon as mentioned by the VP Education, that we actually need to manage the time according to the segment of the meeting, but but overall, well done, everyone. Another amazing meeting. So with that, it's over to you, the Toastmaster of the day, DTM Sudarshan.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Saad. Well summarized. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, we are coming to the end of our meeting. And as we end, the one thing that I would like to leave you all with is one of the greatest teachers in my life has been my mother. And one of the abiding themes that she always used to tell me was, Sudarshan, do whatever that you do to the best of your abilities, to the best of your satisfaction. Because guess what? If you are happy with what you've done, the outcome is taken out of the equation. Because when we come up on stage to deliver a speech, as Toastmaster Mobina talked about, where someone in the audience called her and said, I loved your speech, that's award enough. I don't need the trophy, I don't need the certificate. Similarly in life, wherever we are, whatever we do, if we put an honest day's effort to delivering whatever that we want to do, and we come out of it knowing that we have given it our all, the last drop of blood and sweat has been poured into it, there was nothing left in the tank, whether you win, whether you lose, you are a winner because you are satisfied. You are your biggest customer. And that's a lesson that I carry with me wherever I go, whatever I do. Because if I can deliver to the best of my abilities, the rest usually takes care of itself. That said, the one other abiding lesson that I carry with me, which I've learned from multiple number of people, multiple number of times in various different manners, is you have to take a chance. Life presents opportunities all over the place. All you need to do is to take the chance without the fear of the outcome. Once you take a chance, whether you win or lose, you always learn. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the greatest teacher of all things. Taking opportunities with both your hands, diving in head first, figuring it out as you go along, as Richard Branson says, that is when you learn and learn the most. So here is to learning eternally from all our teachers all around us, some animate, some inanimate, some a combination of that. There is knowledge to be gleaned, there is knowledge to be gained, there is knowledge to be shared. So fellow teachers, fellow Toastmasters, fellow learners, here is to a life full of rich learning. Thank you for having me as your Toastmaster of the day. I now hand the charge back to our acting president and our VP Education, DTM Talha bin Hamid, to close the meeting.
Thank you so much, DTM Sudarshan. That was absolutely beautiful, and listening to you is always an unmitigated pleasure. And speaking of taking the chances and jumping into things and being passionate and putting in a full day's work and leaving the outcome to the Almighty, I believe this club is one living example of this. Launching an online-only themed club aimed at geeks was at best an experiment that I did not see succeeding so soon, but it did. And today we are having its 22nd meeting. We are approaching its first anniversary, and we haven't skipped a single meeting. There has been absolutely no meeting that missed any item of the agenda. So that's all a testament to the effort put in by the members of this club, and also to the guest speakers, to the guests who have participated regularly, like DTM Sarfraz and like Toastmaster Mariam. So it's a beautiful thing that we've achieved together. And to be honest, if someone would have said to me like a year and a half ago that we'd have a club like this, would operate at such a level, I myself would have been confident. But you don't find out unless you attempt. That's the lesson. Thank you so much. I floated the poll for Best Big Three. Everyone, please, okay, it's already done. So very quickly, I'll just ask two of our guests for comments. One is DTM Sarfraz. Sir, your comments, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I enjoyed the meeting. Great meeting in the sense that you have the keynote speaker and 2 speeches along with 2 evaluations and several table topics. And that's what the Toastmaster meeting is all about. I have never seen, or I can't say never seen because I've not attended all the meetings, but the few meetings that I have attended upon, I believe, I've never seen a situation where there was no speaker. And you, President, or someone else came along, oh, it's okay, we'll just have a long table topic session. Now, you always have a keynote speaker. And that says a lot about the club, but especially distinguished Toastmaster Talab bin Hamid, because if the keynote speaker is not there, no one volunteers, you don't hesitate to send reminders every few minutes if you have to. And that's good, unless you get, and the same thing with speakers. And I know, having served long time ago as VP Education, sometimes it's difficult. People sign up, when you ask them, oh, go give a speech. Oh, okay, I'll give. And then day before or that morning, the meeting, oh, I won't be able to make it because they never really intended to. And that was the reason when you said, hey, I need a speaker. And I think, what's the purpose of joining Toastmasters if you're not going to give speeches? Now, if the purpose is just to put it on the resume so it looks good that, hey, you belong to, so some people think, well, if the person hiring you sees that, oh, you're Toastmaster, okay. And that's bad on the person who sees that. They should ask you, okay, what exactly you do? Tell me how many speeches you have given, what kind of speeches you gave, and that person, then they know, see that, hey, this is just a paper person. But unfortunately, a lot of people just want to put it down there, hey, or hold a club position so they can say, I served as a club officer without actually doing something. But one thing is, the officers of this club, they're all active. They participate wholeheartedly, and that's great. The only thing that I have a slight issue with is the timing of the meeting. So you have been pushing it further to later and later for me. So other way, and I can't blame you because this is not bad compared to SOL, Speak Out Loud. They moved it all the way. See, now it's 2 a.m. for me. So back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much, sir. It's always an honor having you. And yes, we have been exceptionally blessed. But I would once again give the credit for that to our members, because without fail, as a VP Education, all our members have been super responsive. Whenever they sign up, they turn up. And if they can't turn up, they inform well in advance. Sense of responsibility at Quantum Leap is nothing like I've ever seen in any other club. And I'm truly, truly grateful for that. And I know that all of the members, most of the members are exceptionally busy, not only professionally, but also in Toastmasters, because many of them are district leaders or club leaders. But even then, they commit and sign up. And we've been exceptionally lucky in terms of keynote speakers. Alhamdulillah, no one has ever withdrawn. And we have never once we've had to change the agenda for either a keynote speech or any prepared speech. So that is a blessing, in fact, that can only be attributed to the Almighty and to the collective effort and goodwill of the members, which has resulted in this. Thank you so much for that. For the last comment about the meeting, I would ask our guest, a very special guest from Saudi, Toastmaster Adil. Toastmaster Adil, would you like to share your comments about the meeting? All right, let's ask Toastmaster Azhar Khan. Let's give him another surprise. Toastmaster Azhar, your comments.
Sorry, what did you say, sir? I was busy on call. Can you repeat the last line?
Yeah, just wanted your comments about the meeting.
Where you and Sarfraz and Saad, so I think is automatically happen very good. Because you are all guys very champion and you're rock and roll person. So, and today I'm seeing the new faces and new Toastmasters. I don't know, they know me. Just some introduce myself. I'm a designer as well. Toastmasters I joined last 2 years back. And Talas is my mentor. DTM Sarfraz and other guys gave me lots of things for my learning. And today meeting, superb. I appreciate this your initiative. I think last 1 year we have started a meeting. So I'm very glad to you and appreciate to all guys. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Azhar. Thank you for the lovely comments. Now I quickly announce the results of the polls. Best speaker goes to DTM Sarfraz Wazir. Congratulations. Best evaluator goes to the busiest person in the meeting today, DTM Ajay. Congratulations. Best round robin evaluator goes just by one vote to me. And that's only because too few of you voted. Perhaps if the votes had been more. That's why we tell everybody at least cast your vote. So yeah, thank you so much. Anyhow. And best table topics today goes to Toastmaster Adil Juhaiman. Congratulations, sir. And finally, best big three goes to no one's surprise, I believe, our Toastmaster of the day, DTM Sudarshan. So congratulations to all the winners. Looking forward to our next meeting exactly 2 weeks from now. All the guests present here are strongly encouraged to attend. And of course, the members are required to attend if the meeting is to happen. So thank you so much, everyone. Apologies for going overtime today. This is perhaps the first time that we've gone this much overtime. So in 22 meetings, that's not so bad. But still, we will work upon it and we'll tweak the agenda. The secret to managing time is not to manage the time, but to manage the agenda. Every VP education knows that. So thank you so much, everyone. And as a last note, I think we should all join in congratulating Toastmaster Mubina Rose in completing her pathway. And what's worth congratulating is the level of emotion and inspiration that she has shared in all of her speeches that she made at Quantum Leap. We are truly, truly grateful for that. And we're truly, truly better people. I hope, at least, we are truly better people as a result of attending these 22 meetings of Quantum Leap, because that's what's the very idea behind this club. So thank you so much, everyone, and see you all on the WhatsApp chat, as well as maybe some other club meetings around the world. And of course, 2 weeks from now in Quantum Leap's next meeting. Thank you so much, everyone.